Two, one. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. Tonight, I have a very special guest. The homie Reach is in the building. How you doing, man?
I'm good, 34. What's good?
I'm chilling, man. I want to just thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking time out of your day to share your story. Definitely appreciate it, man.
Nah, thank you for having me on. I'm always down to just chop it up and break bread.
For sure, man. For sure. I gotta ask, man, is Reach the real name, or is that just a nickname? You don't got to go into it too much, but I'm just curious.
Because it's a funny story. Because my government is Richard, and everybody who knew me growing up is Rich, knows me as Richard. But the titas, when they would say Richard, it becomes Reach, Reach hard. Yeah. And it was like a little childhood nickname. And I had a friend growing up who teased me and just called me Reach or Reach Hard. And, only a few people would call me that. But then when I started at a streetwear company a long time ago called Arisu, my boss's name was Richard. And so people kept getting us mixed up when they would call us from across the office. And to the point where we're kind of low-key getting frustrated. And I was just like, you know what? My childhood nickname is Reach. Just call me Reach. And so it started from there. And then in the streetwear industry, when I'm going to like industry events or like functions or whatever, just introducing myself and networking, it stuck. And I would just say, hey, what's up? I'm Reach. And then it just spread from there and it stuck.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I mean, it fits. It's a dope name to go by. So that's sick. For the folks unfamiliar with the flow of the show, we do some intro questions, just some warm-up questions just to set the tone. Do have a couple icebreakers in there for you. And then after that, we jump into the main portion where you choose a number between 1 and 34. Sound good to you, Reach?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, man. Well, my very first question for you is, how have you been? It's been a crazy year. You've been doing well. You've been going through it. How you been, man?
Last year, it was tough on everybody. 2020 was something that put everybody through the ringer. And I was not doing well, to be quite honest. And thankfully, things, started getting better. And 2021 was exponentially better in terms of on the mental health side for me, and also just everything else around me in the life's full scope and situation. So now I can say I'm doing well. I'm fantastic. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Glad to hear that, man. Glad to hear that. Before we go any further, let's just throw in some icebreakers just to add a little fun to the podcast. But the first one is a one-word spelling bee.
Okay.
You down for it, or you could pass if you'd like?
No, let's do it.
All right, man. So your word tonight is going to be daiquiri.
Daiquiri. Okay. Daiquiri. DAIQUIRI.
You got it, man. You got it. That word is very like it can be hard for a lot of people who are unfamiliar with what daiquiri is, but some people who do enjoy the drink, then they get it pretty good. You enjoy daiquiris yourself?
Not too often, but I've seen the word around plenty of times to know how it's spelled.
I got you. Yeah, sometimes it works out. For me, I would have never guessed it. I remember the first time I seen it, I thought it was a typo, but
it looks like it's pronounced daiquiri.
Daiquiri. Yeah, I could see somebody reading that for the first time if they didn't know what it was.
Daiquiri, please. Second round of daiquiri, please.
I feel that. All right. The second one is a riddle.
Okay.
Are you good at riddles at all?
I'm not sure, but I like stuff that challenges my brain a little.
For sure. So the riddle is, can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words of the week? So you can't say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, but you have to name 3 consecutive days.
What? Bro, what?
You let me know if, whenever you can feel like you're stumped.
Am I even on a timer here?
Not necessarily, but if I notice that it goes a little too long, then I'll let you know. But think it through. No worries. There's gonna be background music playing for the podcast. So
yeah, run that Jeopardy music. Name 3 consecutive days without using the days of the week. Man, I don't even know.
You throwing in the towel?
I'm gonna tap out.
All right. The answer is yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Yeah, man. I feel you. Yeah.
I feel hella dumb now.
Well, now you could use it. You could use it to trick anybody else. But
That is a good icebreaker. That is a really good icebreaker.
yeah, I'm trying to find. There's some other riddles that like I could have chosen from, but that one seems to be the best one. Like, tell me if this one sounds weak, because to me, when after I used it, I was like, maybe I should change it. But it's what has a head, a tail, is brown, and has no legs.
What has a head, a tail, is brown, has no legs? A penny.
All right, well, you got that one for sure. Yeah, well, you know, did you feel like that was a little too weak? Because then compared to the first one I gave you?
I think it's a little bit of a trick question because pennies are copper.
Yes, that's true. And someone, I used this on somebody that was like, pennies are copper. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? That was the answer.
For that 3 consecutive days riddle, do people mostly get it?
So far, I've had 2 people get it, and then including yourself, 2 people who tapped out. So, yeah, it's even so far.
That's all right. New wrinkle in my brain.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's jump into a few more warm-up questions. This next one is, what would you like the audience to know about you?
Shoot. It's funny because if I answer this question, like, low-key, I don't want it to be tied to my work.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of times what people do for work kind of defines them. And it's tricky with me because it's like what I do for work is something that I also love to do. So what do I want the audience to know about me? I'm just, a proponent for all kinds of self-expression, creative self-expression, because that's what I'm into. Whether it be through all different types of mediums, just basically, if you have the ability to express yourselves, we all do, actually. I wholly and highly encourage that we all are about expressing ourselves creatively.
I feel you on that, man, 100%. But there are people out there that I've talked to who are always like, I'm not creative. I can't imagine things, but I keep trying to, like, I want to convince them, but then, sometimes it's not for that person. But sometimes I tell people, if you don't feel like anything's ever sparked that imagination or creativeness, then you haven't tried enough things or seen enough things or experienced enough things. But yeah, have you ever had that? Or
yeah, so I guess I've had that conversation a couple of times, and what I like to tell those people who say that is, we are all our own unique person. We got our own unique perspectives. We got our own unique attributes and contributions that we can share with others. And by just being ourselves, that's already innately creative in itself because we are not alike. So once we're being ourselves and expressing ourselves in our own unique way, that's creative enough for me.
I feel that, man. Like, we're creating our stories just by living, right? So there's an element.
That's a bar.
What was that? Sorry.
That's a bar.
Yeah. For sure, man. Yeah, I gotta save that quote for later on down the road. Second question: if someone were to pay you a tribute, how would you like to be honored? So, what kind of act could I do to honor Reach?
These are some deep questions, man. I've done plenty of interviews and podcasts and streams, but these are some pretty insightful questions, 34.
Right on, man. I mean, I'm glad that you came into it not really knowing the vibe, but these are just the warm-up questions, man.
Okay, so how would someone pay tribute to me? And let me think about this one, because that's a wonderful question, actually.
Take your time.
I think a good way to do that is just by me being a creative, by fucking with whatever I create and giving it a chance. We can cuss here, right?
Oh yeah. Don't censor yourself. There's no censorship on this podcast.
Yeah, the only way is just by giving my art, giving whatever I create a chance. Whether it be just looking at it, checking it out, giving it a view, or acknowledging it. It's just, yeah. I mean, as all creators, we love acknowledgement of what we create.
For sure, man. I definitely will dig deeper into that as we go along. But moving on to this last question in the warm-up, it's on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
I'd like to think I'm very self-aware. I would say a 10.
Wow, I think that you're the first 10 to come on
Really?
here and say yeah. So I gotta ask, what got you to the number 10?
Because I overthink to a fault sometimes, and then that also goes into just beyond just other things. It goes into introspective thinking and knowing my habits and tendencies, and I like to reflect a lot on how I've handled situations in the past and how I could always try to be better, and just knowing that I don't know nothing at all. Having that perspective, and it allows me to always constantly learn about myself in a new manner. You know, does that make sense?
No, it does. No, for sure. Yeah, you know, they say the the smartest people are the ones who feel like they don't know anything at all, and it's because we just can't know. We really can't. Like, you know, we have information at our fingertips these days, and we still can't like take it all in, right? Yeah. Exactly.
Because it's like, you know, we would like to. Sorry, like my dog's like making noise.
It's all good.
We would like to think that, you know, people are certain experts about things, but I wouldn't like to say we're experts about things. We're enthusiasts about things. And that just opens up so much possibilities in terms of learning.
I like that, man. Enthusiasts instead of experts. I fuck with that for sure.
Thanks.
So you had mentioned, oh man, you mentioned someone in there that I'll remember it as we go along. But what would you say is your favorite thing about your personality?
Wow, you gotta be talking about myself. So it's funny how it's so uncomfortable for people to talk about themselves, but it's like, you know yourself the best. My favorite thing about my personality is my curiosity. And that's what's helped me explore so many things that I'm into or want to get into or just want to learn about. And it reflects in a bunch of my interests and what I'm into.
Would you say that's something you were born with, or something that you kind of had to discover and grow into? The curiosity.
The curiosity, I think, as a kid, you're not really that self-aware. I think in terms of, I'm like, oh, I'm a curious kid. No, it's like, you know, you're a kid. You just want to do shit, you know.
Yeah.
But then I became aware of it, where I would look at all the interests that I'm into, and I'm like, this is a pretty wide number of things that I like and I follow or I, you know, am a enthusiast of. So I guess that helps define it. And also, it's like, when something piques my interest, I really want to dig deep into it.
Right, you preaching to the choir right now, because I'm exactly the same way. How do you feel about when people say oh, you should just choose one thing and like kind of stick to it, versus I really don't know what kind of things what projects you're working on, but do you stick to one thing, or are you kind of like, for me at least, I definitely try to incorporate everything I'm doing into one thing, and it doesn't serve me well sometimes, you know?
Yeah, to me that type of mentality is so constricting, and I mean, I really can't say anything more than that. It's just too constricting for me as someone who's this vastly curious and is into just creativity.
I feel you. Yeah, it's not. I mean, everyone's different, right? People can view it that way, but I'm in your boat, man. Like, do everything.
Exactly. Like, why not?
I feel you. There's really. That's a great question, man. Why the hell not? Now I remember what you brought up that had me thinking, but you mentioned being an overthinker. You think that's more of a gift or more of a curse?
It's a double-edged sword, because sometimes overthinking leads to hesitancy, and hesitancy it usually leads to disaster. I think funny thing is, when my pops was teaching me how to drive, he said hesitancy will get you killed on the road. And I kind of think that applies to a lot of things in life too. But that's that's how I would answer that. Yeah.
I got you. Now, I was asking because I'm an overthinker too, and I'm still trying to decide. I agree with you, double-edged sword. I just like to, I look more of a glass half full kind of way, and think it's a plus, because I don't want to talk like I'm the best overthinker, I think, but I understand that we like go through scenarios, we have ideas, and we kind of try to play everything out, and kind of try to decide what's best after that. It takes a while, being hesitant and everything, but I think it works well sometimes. I will say, when you out there in the real world, maybe trying to make connections and network and all that stuff, it's maybe works against you, because you might be too hesitant to make that connection, and because you're thinking like, oh, this is gonna go wrong and whatnot.
Doubt, the hesitancy and the doubt. That's the part I was like really wanting to. That's why I wanted to mention that, because it's like, what's the worst that can happen in terms of that scenario? It's a no. The worst that can happen to a lot of things is a no. And does a no really hurt? Will a no kill you?
No, I mean, you're right, man. And when I was starting this podcast, that was one of the things. I had this fear of rejection, and asking people to be a part of this and to come on as guests. That was one of the things I told myself early, was like, it doesn't matter if they say yes or no. Like, just make sure to ask. And I'm very fortunate that people have been supportive, but the no's really didn't bother me as much as I thought they would, so. But
it's tricky though, because it's like, my overthinking ass would be like, shoot, I'm trying to avoid conflict. Should I really bring this up? Should I really say this or that? I don't want to stir the pot too much,
Yeah, you want to go ahead.
And even though I gave you that answer and I said it with my whole chest, like, of course I do have moments of hesitancy and doubt all the time.
Yeah, man. But I feel like now you kind of are more aware to kind of overcome it, right? And that takes time and experience for everybody out there who's maybe struggling with that. Takes time.
It does.
All right, man. Let's jump into the main portion. There are 3 levels: easy, medium, hard. Would you like to progress through them, or just jump into the deep end? How you want to attack this?
Let's progress through it. Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and throw me your first number.
Let's do 8.
8. What are your top 3 personal values?
Top 3 personal values? First and foremost, you gotta be a good person. Don't be an asshole. Nobody likes an asshole. Number 2, bet on yourself. Always have that confidence to bet on yourself. Because who else will do it but you? Whatever it is, whatever situation, it's you in that situation. Number 3, personal value. do shit with passion and love. You know, what is life without passion? It's boring, man.
I feel that.
You know, go off the deep end with what you love or what you're into. You know, drown in it, if you will.
Yeah, you got to add some color to your life, you know. That's how I feel you.
Drown yourself in the vibrancy of passion.
Sure, for sure. How would you say these values came to be? Was it any particular person who kind of inspired you to be like, oh yeah, always be a good person? Or yeah, any stories behind these values?
My grandpa, my granddaddy, he was a wonderful man, a man of virtue, a man, you know, a God-fearing man. Never did I see him get pissed or yell or talk bad about anybody. He taught, you know, as a kid, he taught me how to pray. He taught me good values and just how to be a kind person. And that really stuck with me. And you know, I look up to him in that regard. And in my eyes, like, he was just a man with no blemish. I'm sure, I mean, nobody's perfect, but I looked up to him for that fact alone.
Yeah, I mean, you know, having that kind of vision of your grandpa, it's kind of a trip. I sometimes think, I wonder if like we were the same age, how if we could be friends, or like, you know, how dope would that be if, you know, it's just somebody you vibed with, like your grandpa or another relative at the same age. How about the second thing, which was betting on yourself? Was that any inspiration behind that?
Yeah, coming up in the creative industry, because all my 20s I was in the corporate world, until like I was just miserable. Killed me to just, I just felt shackled by it. But I knew I had to do it in terms of just helping provide for the family, because it was just me and my brother working. And so when I got laid off, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me just pursue my dreams, right? But getting my foot in the door was one step in terms of the, you know, because I started in the streetwear and the music and the fashion industry, in terms of content creation and stuff like that. And it's such a competitive space, and everybody's creating dope shit, but how do you stand out? And trying to come up and make a mark in there, and at least get a foothold on things, like, it took a while, and there was moments where I was just doubting everything, and I was like, should I just give up and go back to this desk job? And I kept telling myself, you know what, like, people have been fucking with you up to this point for a reason, so keep doing it. And so I kept betting on myself and kept doing what I did until I got to a point where I'm like, yo, I'm pretty proud of where I am right now. I'm not saying like, you know, I've reached some sort of finale or whatever, but I've gotten to a point where I'm like, yo, this is great. This is dope, where you don't have to doubt. I don't have to doubt myself in terms of what I create for the most part now. And that was because I bet on myself to keep going.
That's dope, man. That sounds like an amazing place to be. To not have to doubt yourself.
Yeah. It's great. It's very fulfilling.
I feel that. And what was that third one? Do you remember?
Passion.
You said passion. Yes, passion.
Yeah. Look, I don't just because, like, why live life so half-assed? I mean, you know, if you wanna take that trip, go take that trip. If you wanna tell someone you love them, go tell them you love them in the grandest way possible, and tell them every day. Or if you wanna create with gusto, you know, create with your whole heart. Because only the best things beget passion.
I feel that, man. It's just, you know, I guess for me to kind of see the other side of it, it's like, I know I've had 12 jobs in 10 years, man. So for all the folks that out there that I met that weren't following their passion, it was always because there was just something else in their lives that, you know, for them, they had higher priority. And it's hard. Like, it sucks for me to see that. I'm very fortunate and blessed to be in a position where I can feel supported to follow my dreams and passions. But, you know, not everybody kind of has that support system. I think that's the biggest thing that holds people back, to be honest, is, you know, they have other things that maybe they need to take care of, and it keeps them from doing what they really love to do sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's different situations, and it's like we all are all under the thumb of some certain circumstance. But really, if we are passionate enough about something, we'll make room for it, right?
That's true. That is true, man. And yeah, and honestly, for me, I don't think I've felt the passion I've had until now, until doing this thing. Cause
more power to that.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. It took me a while to start making time for something that I felt this passionate about. For sure. Go ahead and throw me another number, man.
All right, let's go with 24.
24. What can you not imagine living without?
Can I not imagine living without? Tangible or intangible?
Let's go both.
You be asking some shit I really don't think about sometimes.
Yo, man.
In terms of intangible and tangible, those things can be a lot of things.
Yeah. You could choose one if you like. Either route you want to go.
I think intangible, I cannot live life without love, because that really is just like, if it's a loveless life, it really just has not so much no meaning, but it's just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good, because within that love is passion, and if you're living life with a lot of zest and passion, then it's I think you're living life right. So that's intangible. Tangible, see, tangible things, it's like, what material possessions can we really not live without?
For you, like, if there's anything specific that you enjoy using, or it correlates to what you're passionate about, and without it, you'd be like, damn, it would really throw a wedge in there.
I mean, at this point in my life, it would be a person. It would be my girlfriend, and I think that I've come to a point in my life where I'm like, yo, like, when you know it's someone that you fully vibe with and are on this frequency with, and you call them like your soulmate, like, that is something that you can value at the very highest. Yeah. And if you lose something like that, like, that's tough, man. Like, it's tough to even find something like that right now. And when you do, why would you let it go? Why would you know? Why would that be something you would want to not be around?
I feel that. Yeah, I mean, like you said, even nowadays it's even harder, because, well, why would you say you feel like it's in this time even harder to find something like that, find that connection and relationship? Because
in terms of connections, a lot of it is born from, being organic. And how can you be organic when you swiping endlessly on an app? You meeting up at a bar, but it's like, or this conversation ain't going nowhere within the first 15 minutes. Why'd I waste my time? Like, people become jaded through that. And I think it's a fact that people do get jaded through that whole process, and people lose hope in that type of process. But once you really find that true connection, like, nothing beats it.
For sure. No, I hear you, man. Like I said, same boat. Gotta hold on to the people that you vibe with, for sure, because sometimes that energy isn't always available, and when you find someone that's willing to share it with you,
It's so nourishing. It's so nourishing.
Yeah, because you're giving your energy like all the time, you know, to other things. So, you know, it's good to have that somebody share their energy with you to get re-energized. But
yeah, absolutely.
I hear you, man. I got a curveball for you right now. It's a fill in the blank. So for you, social media is blank.
It's a canvas.
I like that. Okay. Tell me more. Tell me more.
That social media is a canvas because, you know, we talk about social media platforms, and each platform has its unique way of presenting its own content, and that's what it is. It's like, as content creators and someone who is in that space, each form of social media can be a canvas, however you color it. And I know, you know, the advent of newer platforms and social media kind of like waters down like a lot of the meaning in terms of content creation, right? Or a lot of meaning in terms of what we create. Things become corny and things become oversaturated. But at the end of the day, it is how you want to use it. You know, social media is your own canvas, and however you want to paint it. And if you want to go out there and do some dances on TikTok, more power to you, man. If you want to express yourself that way, if you want to take some dope photos and post it on Instagram, more power to you also. It's really, social media is a blank canvas for everyone.
I feel that, and that's the first time someone ever described it as a canvas. I'll tell you that. Yeah. First time. Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Like, I wonder if more people are aware of that. You know, that they since you're the first person to bring it up and, you know, kind of give that perspective. It's like, I don't think it's something people kind of see it as. I get usually some good and some bad about social media. There's usually two answers people give, because you know,
I get how it can be a detriment and that can be harmful, but you know what, too much of anything will kill you. And also, it's, you get what you put in.
For sure. That's a lesson I've learned the super hard way, man.
Really? What happened?
Well, man, you know, for me, I went to college not knowing what I wanted to do, and when I was there, I definitely didn't put anything in, and it was too late before I realized, you know, I had resources and I had opportunities to just like make a difference, be a part of the community, and I wasn't that person. I wasn't ready for that while I was there. So yeah, that really kind of stuck to my head, as far as like, you get what you put in, because since I didn't put anything in, I really didn't get as much as I could have, but that I had framed it like, oh, that's only in college, but then I realized that's really just life in general. Like, you know, you could continue to put in, you can still be part of the community. It doesn't have to be any certain time or point, but for a while that weighed heavy on my mind, because I was like, damn, you know, I see the comparisons started happening too, like seeing how other people kind of finessed their way through college and, you know, made the connections, made the opportunities happen. And I'm like, man, you know, like I should have done more, should have, you know, had more discipline or whatever. But yeah, so
I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to water your own grass, not someone else's lawn.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever seen Louis from FX, as a TV show based on the comedian, but
No.
He had this lesson that he was teaching his daughter, because his daughter was like, why can't you get me the thing that my friend got for Christmas or whatever? And then he was just like, you know, when people are eating, right, you never want to look in your neighbor's bowl to see if you have enough. You know, that was like his statement, and I was like, oh shit, you know. I feel that. But all right, man, let's jump back into the numbers. Those first two questions were on easy mode, so I'm bumping you up a little bit to the second level right now.
Okay.
Go ahead, throw me another number.
Let's do 9.
9. two-parter. What gets you up in the morning?
Gets me up in the morning. I don't know if this is a corny answer, but just living, you know?
Yeah.
It seems like a layupy answer, but you know what? Living in itself is exciting enough.
That's good, man. I mean, you know, that's I feel you, but I also know there's people out there who they struggle with it, you know. Maybe they aren't following their passion, and it keeps them stuck in a sense, or just gives them more time to kind of like hibernate or try to figure it out. Because I think for me, in those moments where I didn't know what I was doing, I was definitely one of those people like chilling in their bed as soon as they wake up and being there for a few hours, just like, you know, trying to figure it out, to be honest. And
I've been there. I feel you. And it's like I've, you know, suffered with a lot of anxiety and moments of depression and self-doubt and all that. But it's like, I guess realizing, and also this is, I cannot advocate for this enough. Like it comes with the help of, you know, seeing a therapist or therapy and whatever. But really realizing the power that we have to take control of, you know, how we're living.
For sure. As far as therapy goes, did you ever have you ever gotten any pushback or like negative reactions towards that? I mean, oh, that's great. That's great. I feel like, you know, I first started, I guess when I first had experienced therapy was like back when I was in middle school. Yeah, I remember back then, you know, you just hear chatter from relatives or whatever that like, oh, what's wrong? Like, why therapy? Or, you know, what's really going on type of a reaction. So yeah, that's why I was just wondering. But that's great. That's great that you never really had any issues with people, you know, giving you some pushback on that.
No, it was always supportive.
For sure. And that the second part of the question is, what keeps you up at night, if anything?
I do like my sleep, so. You know what? Back in the day, I guess, you know, when you're younger, I was up all the time, just writing and creating and curating and archiving, and it just like, it was like it set a good foundation to put me where I'm at right now.
For sure. I did want to ask about being a creator. Was that something that you had recognized early in yourself, or, you know, like was there any point where you're like, damn, I'm really into this and nobody seems to else be like vibing with me on this? Yeah, have you ever, was that kind of experience? Or? Absolutely,
because growing up with my group of friends, like not many were into a lot of the things that I was into or you know, was curious about, and I don't know if I just saw myself as like, oh, I'm a creator, or oh, I'm different, but it just felt just natural to me to do what I was doing, whether it be through writing or dressing myself, or, you know, or I don't know, even music wise, in terms of like when I was DJing and stuff like that. So
is there any particular medium or form of art that you just that's your favorite?
Writing, yeah, it's my first love.
Oh snap! So like you write books or any poems? Or
yeah, well, what first got me hooked on writing and really opened up that door for me was it's an Earth, Wind and Fire a song. I don't even know the Earth, Wind and Fire song, but I remember reading the lyrics and I'm like, yo, that's so, as a kid I was like, wow, that's so poetic and whatever, and like it sounds so cool, and I was like, I want to be able to write like that and like describe something this way. And I just started like trying it, and I just was like, you know what, and then what also was like that helped that is also just reading a lot, growing up, because you realize the vast world of words there are. Like, words can be just this whole endless playground that you can control and harness and manipulate and make it your own and write your own unique perspective and story. I think writing is this amazing tool to really just express yourself and let yourself be heard in how you want to be seen or heard.
For sure. So do you like normally just write passages now, or I guess for you, since it's just a self-expression thing, is it just more like notes, or?
Well, so going on from that, I started with just writing small poems as a kid and writing poetry. Then I got into spoken word and like just, writing for the sake of writing and having fun with it. And then I loved writing, but then I dabbled in other things, and it just reflected in who I was or who I am. And when I got into pursuing my passion, it was through content creation and content curation. So when I started at that streetwear company, Arisu, that I mentioned earlier, they're like, hey, we need a contributor to create some content for the site. I was like, all right, cool. But I saw that as like my pinky toe to get into the industry. So I took that opportunity and ran with it. And I started using their resources to create, photo shoots and video content pieces and whatnot. And they were really feeling, they loved it. So they made me the editor-in-chief of the website. So then I just kept doing what I did, like whether it be writing articles or whether it be like styling shoots or putting together photo shoots or putting together concepts to present content. At the very heart of it, it was just the storytelling aspect, and that's anchored in writing. And now in my job, I'm the managing editor at Food Beast, and I'm also a host there. I do still write. I write everyday stories, and I also, in the show that I host called Taste the Details, I'm able to tell some stories and use that show as a platform to tell other people's stories. And what helps with that is just having a good understanding of storytelling, which also goes back to writing itself.
For sure. You've mentioned passion a lot in the podcast. I have to ask, what are you passionate about?
I guess not to sound redundant, but I'm just passionate about expressing myself.
Okay, I got you. I got you. Any like influential like books had growing up that kind of either fostered that love for writing and storytelling?
Yeah, dude. Okay. There's a bunch. I mean, it progressed as I grew up. I remember in 6th grade I read this book called The Golden Goblet, and it was set in ancient Egypt, and I was like, oh, I love ancient history. Oh, I love writing. And then it so happened like it was a great story. So that stuck with me. What's that? Sadako and 1,000 Paper Cranes, I think, was one where it's like the first book that made me cry. And I was like, whoa, words can make me cry. Reading something can make me cry. Like, I want to have that power to be able to write that way.
What book was that?
I believe Sadako and 1,000 Paper Cranes.
All right. I mean, I hope to get to all these recommendations from the show. So, the hype is up there now, man. It made you cry. I'm expecting to cry too.
I was young. I read that like in elementary school, but to have that realization, like words can make you cry, like that was pretty tight. Another book that I love was The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde. It's probably my favorite book, and it's written by Junot Diaz. It's an awesome book where it's like, I don't know, the way Junot Diaz weaves a tale and uses words to just express things, and so matter-of-factly and so in such a relatable manner. Because I thought my style of writing at one point was too flowery, and it was just like, I felt like it was flowery to a fault. But when I saw Junot Diaz write in such a relatable manner, where it seemed like it was I was having an everyday discussion with him. I was like, this is amazing. And also told an underdog tale of this kid who grew up as a nerd, was teased, and he went after his dream girl. And in the end, like, well, I don't want to.
Oh, that's the story of Oscar Wilde? Or?
Wow. Oscar Wilde.
Wow. All right, for sure. I was like, Oscar Wilde.
You know, not Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde. Yeah. You know, what else is another good book that I love Catcher in the Rye. Because it was like the characters felt so relatable in terms of just like they're not this like pie in the sky characters, this everyday kid that cusses and like is imperfect, and the story's about him.
Those are a lot of classic. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying off the top, those are some of the books that I do remember distinctly, for sure.
Appreciate you sharing. And honestly, like I've slept on all those books. I don't think I've either came. I know Catcher in the Rye. Someone was like, they didn't make me read that in school, and I'm all like, I guess not in my class, but
I read it through school.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some good books that I read through school. I think they made us read. I feel like it's just been like a lot of short stories come through my mind. Great Expectations. I don't know if you remember that one.
I don't
The Alchemist. I don't know if you read that one.
You know, everybody recommends The Alchemist. So.
Everybody recommends The Alchemist.
Yeah.
It's a cool name, that's why. But it's. I think it was about a guy making something out of nothing, and that's what everybody enjoyed. All right, man. Just a heads up, we kind of breezing through this conversation. We got about 10-15 minutes left. I want to thank you again for coming on. I hope you're having fun.
I'm having a great time, yeah.
Oh, man, I'm glad to hear that. Go ahead and throw me another number.
30.
What does self-love mean to you?
Ooh. Self-love means being kind to yourself. And reminding yourself, it's a daily reminder to be kind to yourself. And how do you be kind to yourself? By treating yourself right. How do you treat yourself right? By being mindful of what you enjoy. And sometimes that could be telling yourself that you're good enough. You enjoy that. I enjoy that positive affirmation for myself, whether it be tell myself in my mind or tell me myself directly. Self-love, yeah, that's just being kind to yourself for sure, and just telling yourself that, you know, whatever you do, whatever you contribute, it's enough.
I feel that. One of my guests came on, and I'm just curious what your thoughts on the statement is, but they had said that self-love is the balance between selfishness and selflessness. That's a
fantastic answer. That is a fantastic answer, because when you're selfish with yourself, that's like you watering your own grass. But selflessness also means giving the flowers that grow from that grass.
Yeah, and it is like with all things in life. I think balance is super key, and that balance and self-love, I think. I mean, I don't know anyone else who's mastered it just yet. I'm still looking, but you know, I think we're all trying as much as we can.
That's the beauty of it, is we're all trying.
That's true.
It's good enough.
Gonna throw you one more curveball before we knock out another number, but this one is a shout out question. So maybe if you don't want to name anyone outright, you could just like be vague and, you know, have a group. But the question is, you ever had a favorite teacher, coach, or mentor?
Ooh. Yeah, I have. I mean, I took a pause there, was trying to remember like specific teachers or whatnot that I had, and none particularly stood out to me. Which isn't to say like they weren't good teachers. No, they're great teachers, but I gotta go with Anthony Bourdain, man.
Word. Okay.
Anthony Bourdain was like the linchpin into who I guess I wanted to pattern myself after. And it just helped me realize what I want to do in life.
I gotta ask, because I'm a person who knew of Anthony Bourdain but didn't really know his work. I wasn't super familiar. So for you to mention his name at this question, how would you describe him? You know,
and it's weird because he wasn't even my direct mentor or whatever.
Yeah.
Just somebody that I really greatly admired. But he was a fearless storyteller, but also knew enough. Also knows that he didn't know enough, and that's what constantly helped him to be curious. But also, he was a great person. He was a good person, and he used his platform to give a voice to the voiceless. And he did that through food. And I love food. I'm passionate about food, but I'm also passionate about storytelling. So those two worlds wove perfectly together in what he was creating and putting out there.
Sure. I remember, rest in power, Anthony Bourdain. But one of the quotes that came out that made me feel like, damn, I wish I knew what this guy was about sooner, was he had this quote about there's a part of him that wishes to just kick back and smoke weed all day and watch cartoons, and every day he has to fight against that person. And I was like, damn, bro, I didn't know you were so relatable.
So relatable.
Yeah.
He was an imperfect man, and he knew that. But he knew that just trying to be a good person and making the effort to do so, like you said, fight that urge to do those things was enough. He was very self-aware, and I thought that was really good.
Sure, for sure. I think we could knock out one more number, man. So go for it. Last number.
Number two.
Number two. So this is a heavy question. I went down to the top level right now. Just brace yourself. But what is something you are insecure about?
What is something insecure about a lot of things. For the longest time, it was my looks.
Word.
Yeah. I'm a short, chubby, dark Filipino kid, and that was a trifecta in getting teased a lot growing up, and it was harsh. Filipinos, you know how they are. When you're chubby or dark, they get on you. I was never the tallest person. You get short jokes all the time. I got short jokes, I got fat jokes, I got dark jokes.
Yeah.
That I had to deal with growing up. So, that really made me aware of how my appearance was. And I guess I tried to. Wow, here I'm about to get real honest with you. I guess that's how I tried to compensate with the way I dress, because I wasn't fully confident in who I was naturally.
First off, man, I want to thank you for opening up. I know it's not always easy to talk about these things. What advice would you give anybody who may be, feeling the same, who had felt the same way as you?
It goes back to that whole self-love, man. Just be kind to yourself and just know that you are good enough. For sure.
Thank you for the answer, man. Thank you for sharing. We've made it to the conclusion part of the.
I almost shed a tear on that last question, man. Shit.
My bad. But hey,
no, it's not your bad. It was a good question.
I appreciate it. You made it, man. You made it to the end of the podcast. I think these next questions are going to be a little bit smoother, just to transition out. And this next one is actually from a previous guest. I like to find a way to keep my guests connected in some way. It's a light question. Shout out to Sean for your question, man. What would be your last meal?
Man,
one dish. He said one dish.
One dish. I've gotten this question a lot because I'm on the on the food entertainment portion.
Yeah.
That's what I get interviewed about. So, last meal. It fluctuates actually a lot because of honestly, shit. Like one day I'll say, fried chicken. Another day I'll say my mom's salt and pepper pork chops. Or another day I'll say silog. Or another, you know what? All right, I'm gonna go with silog, and that silog would consist of, the garlic fried rice, the egg, we'll do that. But my proteins will be corned beef and lechon kawali. And then I'll have a side of adobong pusit. And then I'll wash it down with some lemonade.
If you know, you know. Not everybody knows about that, man.
Yeah.
Yo, I think corned beef is like one of the most slept on kind of like dishes out there, man. Like, no, it's just like, I think it's great.
It's magical.
yeah, and it doesn't get that much love, man.
It's such a humble food, but it's so good.
I feel you. The next question is, what would you like to ask the next person that comes on to 34 questions? You could go heavy or light. It's up to you.
Yeah, I would like to ask them, without any constraints and with your full passion behind it, what would you pursue?
No constraints, full passion. What would you pursue? Typing it out. For sure. I'm always curious, like, who the next person comes on, because I can never tell what they're gonna say. So
I'm curious, what made you want me to be on the show?
Shoot, I want to say, I think maybe I seen you like a post from a previous guest, and then I was all like, oh, they like this, so maybe they'd like to come on. and
that was
that's
my girlfriend Kimberly. She was on, and I was like, let me go, post about her appearance on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's what it was, and I was like, yeah, at that point I was still trying to figure out what the best way was to reach out to people. And yeah, and I don't think she had mentioned her name was Kimberly. I think she went by her handle.
Okay. Yeah.
It's don't worry about it. But yeah, it was that happened, and so that's how I got you on, man. I just decided to shoot my shot, and I'm glad you were able to make it.
always shoot your shot. Always shoot your shot.
I feel that. And my last question for you, man, the question that ties everything together, is what would you like your descendants to know about you? Thinking 500 years down the road, they're watching this, and what would you say to them?
I would like them to know that I, to the best of my abilities, I was true to myself and honest with yourself. And I think a lot of things fall into place once that happens. A lot of good can come from that.
And it's a difficult thing to do, man. Like, life will take its hits on you to make you want to let go of that dream and that passion. So you got to be strong. Be strong out there. But yeah, any last things you want to add before we head out of here?
You know what? I listen. I've done a good number of like interviews and broke bread with a lot of people, but this is probably one of my favorite ones.
Right on, man. I appreciate that.
I really like the whole conversational aspect, and I like how it makes you. If I feel like you're trying to get to know someone as the person, not who they are or what they're seen as.
Absolutely, man. That is definitely the purpose. I'm gonna have to use that for a soundbite down the road. You gave me a perfect one, but yeah. It's it really is about just knowing the person at the core. the experience that you're having. You mentioned how, we're so unique and so different. I believe that as well. Like, there's a lot of factors that makes us who we are, and there are similarities, but I don't think everyone's exactly the same. And these conversations for me is to kind of, like, I guess that reinforces my belief, because I hear so many different stories nowadays, and it's exciting for me, and I definitely appreciate it. But also for people out there to kind of hear it too, if they're curious.
I just want to encourage you, man, because you seem to have a gift here in terms of connecting and talking with people. So I encourage you to keep going. This is great what you're doing.
Thank you, man. I'll take that to heart, man. For me, confidence is still an issue, and I'm always trying to, like, I believe in myself, but I don't believe in myself. It's a balance for some reason. But
bet on yourself, bro. I'm a full proponent of betting on yourself. What's the worst that could happen?
I've been doing it too long to stop, man. So this is who I am, and I think this is who I'll always be. I appreciate that, your kind words, and the juice that you've given me. So here's to many more. I want to thank you again for stopping by. Thank all the folks out there for listening on Spotify, watching on YouTube, doing what you do. Appreciate y'all too. Reach out, reach forward. That's actually my sign off now, is reach out, reach forward.
Hey, nice.
As always, much love. We'll catch you guys next time on 34 Questions.